Okay, we're gonna build this asset, turn it into this, trash that, and make this instead. For St. Patrick's Day, I thought it'd be really fun to do a quick video game sketch finding a four-leaf clover, and I felt like a nice break from editing gusty devlogs. And I had 3 main objectives I wanted to hit. I'm working on this side project in Unreal, and I wanted to do the game in that engine just so I could try to learn more about it. Second, I want to be able to extract the game in HTML, because I like the idea of publishing more itch.io games where you play directly from the browser. And then third, I just wanted it to be a quick, cute, cozy time pass game that I could try to knock out in about a week, ideally before St. Patrick's Day. And spoiler alert, only 1.5 of those 3 things happened. But let's start with Unreal. So the truth is I know very little about Unreal. So I started with a few of the different template projects that they have, just to get a feel for the space. And because I wanted this game to feel POV as you're searching through a small patch of clovers, I thought maybe I could try using the top-down template and try moving a sphere on a ground plane while looking through a camera. And when I finally got it to work, I was very, very excited. Ah, that's perfect. It works. I can move a sphere. Okay, this is fun. Because the hope is that this sphere will be the mouse that is colliding with all the clovers. And this success was particularly short-lived because that's when I found out that you can't export from Unreal 5.2 to HTML. I did see there were some solutions regarding pixel streaming, but I didn't want to delve too far into that or pay for a service. So I backtracked a few versions of Unreal and found out you can still export HTML using version 4.23. So now with this installed, I was able to recreate my project and successfully upload it to itch.io where we have a moving sphere, but now I need to bend some clovers. This required me to jump into Blender and dust off some of my high-res modeling skills. I really decided to lean into minimalist for this style of clover, mostly because I don't have enough experience with Blender to do anything more than that. But I was able to propagate this into Unreal using the foliage brush. And then I proceeded to jump into the deep end of several amazing tutorials online to talk about how to distort grass as your character walks over them. And I forget which ones I ended up using, but I will list a few of them below in the description because there are some really talented devs out there that are doing some pretty fantastic stuff. However, I was concerned I wasn't getting enough fidelity. I thought that was just because the geometry was very simple. So without having really the time or the experience to model really great looking clovers, I found this amazing pack on the Epic Store, and I purchased it because it came with just some of the most beautiful clover assets, and it was definitely really in tune with the vibe or the look that I wanted to have with this game. Dropping that in there, I began to play with the distortion technique that I was using with this nicer geometry. And what I can say is it worked. I mean, it technically looks like it's doing the right thing, but I feel the technique I'm using doesn't blend very well with very geometric pieces of grass, if that makes any sense. So I think that means I'd have to find a new technique for distorting the clovers. But knowing I'm using Unreal Engine 4, even if I were to add rigs to all my clovers, I don't know how performant it'll be in the browser. And due to my own deadline on wanting to get this project done in relatively short time, I'm going to have to pause making this game in Unreal. I am happy with all the techniques and information that I learned using the engine. I feel like I can definitely carry that with me to future projects. And again, even though I can technically deform grass using this technique, I wanted it to feel like you were brushing your hands through the clovers, trying to hunt down the 4-leaf one. And that was a very particularly important emotion for me to get across. And I just couldn't get it there with my current skills and the limited time that I have. So we save this, we close this, and we table it for later. And we take a few days off to be a bit sad and bummed out. Okay, what if I did this in an engine that I was more familiar with? What if I did this in the same engine that I made Gusty in, which I'm very fond of? So we're going to try to do the same concept in GameMaker. And I wasn't very confident I'd be able to get the same feel that I wanted from this game using 2D sprites, but we're going to try anyway. Like any good Clover project, is always nice to start off with a gross green egg. But I decided to build out this temp asset inside GameMaker and populate a room full of these green eggs. And here we go. We can move a mouse and it interacts with these little eggs. It's perfect. I'm actually using the X and Y coordinates of the mouse to nudge the clovers around. And you can see it's pretty flawless. There's no bugs. But I was really tickled with how this turned out. And these little squares are a visual guide to help me see how far these clovers can move. And the X's are their resting spot. But if you pause and look close at my code, you can see there's probably a lot of things that I'm doing wrong. But it's okay, we're all learning. I tend to print out a lot of messages when I'm working, just so I know clearly what's happening and when. But I'm just using point direction to move the clovers around. And playing around with the code a little bit more, I was able to stop the jiggy effect on my eggs. I don't know, that's weird to say. But I was able to stop the jiggy effect on the clovers. But I got it working, comparing the original X, which is the X that it spawns in, and then a radius around the mouse to actually actually move the clover. And then I did a quick test to make sure it was working in HTML. And I also modified all my eggs to look like splats. So we're one step closer to clover, which is, I think, all that we strive to be in life. I then proceeded to make my first 2 4-leaf clovers, which terrify me, especially this one. This one I don't like at all, but I have 2 4-leaf clovers now. And in the spawning logic, I'm spawning the 4-leaf clover first, and then I go through and spawn the remaining clovers, trying my best to avoid this clover, which I thought was all clovers, but actually I think just the first clover that spawns. But now if we play the game, I added some green background just to help it feel more, I don't know, immersive. And the 4-leaf clover is actually here. I don't know if you can find it. Do you see it? There it is. Found it. And this is the game. We did it. We found and collected a clover. It's perfect. I then needed something to decorate the background with. A couple different patterns we can use to just add some variety back there. And of course we have a great cursor. I'll pause on the screen just so you can truly appreciate how great that looks. Okay. And the actual room environment for this is pretty simple. It just has a mess of tiles, the cursor, and all the clovers spawn here. And I keep trying to upgrade the spawning logic a little bit, allowing the clovers to reset whenever you find your 4-leaf clover. So here we go. We have our cursor now pushing the clovers around, and we get to be on the hunt for 4-leaf clover. There it is. Done. It's progress, you know, it's getting there. And then here we go. We're now able to play around with different visuals. Again, they're mostly just loose and quick, so I can add some variety to the landscape. I'm also not a clover expert, so I think certain types probably don't spawn with other types of clovers, but in this game, anything is possible. And then we have our large clover variants. I don't know. And just for texture, we also have our 4-leaf clovers here. And 1 extra 4-leaf clover. Small, which kind of looks like a pirate X on the map. We also, I'm really excited about this. We have fog layers now. And what the fog layer is, air quotes, is I have a tile. This is so cool. This is so cool. I have a tile that's just 2 different colors of green with the opacity reduced. So if I turn off my tiles, you can see this looks very similar to what we had before. And I'll go ahead and launch the game so you can see it with all our new clovers. So here it is. We can still push around and try to find our 4-leaf buddy. But when we close the game and turn on these fog layers, what will happen is during the spawning portion, it's determining which layer to put a clover in, and the layers are underneath these fog layers. So again, here's the game without the fog layers enabled. Just lock that in, and here's the game with the fog layers enabled. Isn't that amazing? Just by adding those little bit of transparencies, I can use that to help push the clovers back in depth, so it feels like you're not just looking at a flat image. I think that's just so impressive. This was a big game changer for me because I wanted it to feel like, again, you could brush your cursor through the clovers and it all just felt very flat. Eventually, I'll use this logic to push the clovers back less if they spawn further down. And I think this adds to a little bit of the depth clarity. I really love these fog layers. They're beautiful. They turned out well and they're so cheap. It's just one giant transparent tile. Pretty neat. I've also been posting on Twitter a little bit of my updates here and there. But I noticed on this one, everything just looked so blurry and kind of crunchy. And on the phone, it felt like there was a lot of depth of field and the game felt very soft and cute, and I really like that effect. And I was like, how do I put depth of field into the game? I don't know of a great shader solution for that, but I do know I could use effects layers, and now we have this nice softness as well. So they'll be super sharp here and a little bit blurry down here. And I wanted to go crazier with it, but you still have to hunt for the 4-leaf clover. So if it's too blurry, you wouldn't be able to find your clover. Boop. Then it was important for me to store stats with every clover that you've picked. So we just have a pretty straightforward DS grid. I also know global vars are being deprecated. I'll transition soon, I promise. Please don't judge me. But where you can judge me is in the clover spawner. I was trying to figure out how to make the time human readable because I'm storing it in frames, and I went through this whole process to figure it out, and I think it mostly works, but I can't help but wonder there must be an easier way to do it. Math is not my strong suit, so I had to break down each and every single step along the way, but we're able, I think for the most part, successfully convert frames to a human readable time. But yeah, we have our sprite index, our image index, our mouse clicks, and our human readable time every time we click a clover. I'm gonna use my developer cheat button there. That should work. So now all this is being stored in a DS grid. So now we can use that later to create a victory screen. And ta-da, we have a victory screen. We have an in-game button, which is nice. It's kind of cute because it changes its punctuation. So yeah, Game of the Year, hit that subscribe button. Also, I built the menu tile set, which is a pretty simple, straightforward cube with a transparent texture. And then I also added an extra bit of depth of field, which I thought was really nice. So those two layers will turn on, and it's kind of neat because it still allows you to interact with the clovers down here, just because I think it feels nice. I was exploring doing a congrats room. Yay. But I really wanted this to be over top of my current room, and I don't know presently on how to do that quite yet. So although it's not as elegant, I thought having my little congrats layers on here was cute. Really love how it turned out. I love it a lot. It's so cool. And then you can play again if you want, and use your developer hotkey to find your clover. But I did update some of the clovers. I like this one better. It looks way grosser than it used to, but it's still quite not clovery enough for me. And that still looks like a pirate axe. We'll deal with that later. But I began to go a little bit crazy with the draw screen, just trying to find ways to make it look prettier. And I wanted also to add averages. So far I found 2 clovers with 1 mouse click and some time in my average time. And I think that doesn't calculate correctly. It's not calculating correctly. I should fix that. Okay, so we got it working again. Something was off here. I forgot what it was. But I also went ahead and decided to not only store the average time, but also the total time. So if I go here and try to find my 4-leaf clover, and now I can check the average time or the total time, and I can cycle through each clover. I need to get this to update as well. Okay, so I went ahead and made my DS grid a little bit wider so I can store more information. And now we have this. Look, it changes. I have a little bit of a wave on there as well. Yeah, it's nice. You can thumb through all your favorite clovers. But at last we needed some music. I'm gonna add a mute button if you can listen to it while you play. And then also, we have a sound effect now for brushing through the clovers. I'm actually using 2 sounds to do it. I'm using like this brushing sound and then this little like hit sound to kind of be like the stems. And I'll probably continue finessing this. I think this is nice. But then I wanted to find a way to add a little bit of life. And I found this great video here by OneUpND. They're using some pretty neat tricks to skew the X and the Y of their trees to make them feel like they're interacting with the wind. And I thought we could try the same. We don't need to skew our clovers. We'll just undulate the X and the Y, which I had some issues with initially because I was getting into this weird X and Y replacing loop. But we did get it working. Let's check it out. How's that? Not bad. And yes, add a mute button for the music. Look at these little guys move. I don't know. It's just kind of nice. It's cute. Look at them rustle around. I think it's nice. I really like it. We also have a more refined end screen. It's kind of the same stuff, but I added a random message. You know, they're all great. All the messages are good. Let me know if you can think of any other random messages I should add to this list. I think it's fun to have something different, but it's cute. The other thing I did as well, which is hard to notice, is it was difficult for me to find the clover sometimes because it was particularly buried, but I fixed the spawning logic to always make sure there's a portion of the clover available or visible. But I have a spawn buffer for the things around the 4-leaf clover and the spawn buffer for things that aren't around it, which means our 4-leaf clover won't be completely smothered. You can see almost without fail that the clover is visible and not completely obscured like it was before. It could have been like hidden underneath this one. Now granted, it's way easier to do with my hotkey button, but it works. It's kind of nice. And I think eventually we can add some difficulty sliders and to also maybe provide you with some occasional hints if you're stuck. But this is nice. Look at all these clovers I found. How cool is that? What a collection. This will take you way longer than 2 minutes and 16 seconds if you were in the real world. And then the last thing I just added, I hope I have the video here. It deserves proper credit. This video here by North Game Studio is a great introduction to particles. It gets straight to the point. They show you all that they're doing to get this effect. Now, I don't necessarily want this effect, but watching that video, I was able to make some modifications. And now look, you get soft little glowy yellow orbs. I wanted the feeling of live air or dust particles, like you're kind of in an enchanted forest. And I think these little tiny little motes of particles really helped sell it for me. I don't know, it turned out really, really great, but I was struggling to find a sound that will play when you don't click on a clover, and then the sound that plays when you do. I don't love the misclick sounds. I want to find a better one. If anyone has any suggestions, let me know. I kind of want like a soft shh sound. I don't know. But now it's time for me to actually update the art to make them look a little bit more like clovers. I don't know if I know how to draw a clover. They're, for some reason, just difficult for me. I think these are definitely better. And part of the goal was to try to make the 4-leaf clovers stand out more. So they're not as difficult to spot, while also adding variety. And I want to continue working on this and adding more, but you know, at a certain point, just trying to ship it. Yeah, they feel a bit better, right? Less like blobs, way better than expired eggs. Not bad. I want to add more, you know, I really do, but I think we're right about time. This 3 to 5 day project's taking me 20 days off and on. And I gotta edit this video, I gotta post it, and I gotta get together. Oh, did I ever mention I upgraded the cursor? It's like a little shiny golden cursor now. But yeah, this is it. This is the Clover game, which I think I'm calling Clover Collector, or should I call it Clover Seeker, or should I call it Shamrock Seeker? I'm not sure. Let me know if you have any good ideas. This game you can play for free on itch. It's uploaded, it's posted, it's done, and happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm only like 2 weeks late, I think. It was fun doing this video game sketch. Gusty was meant to just be a video game sketch, and it turned into a longer development cycle. This, I think, was a proper video game sketch, and I still learned a lot along the way. And that's what's cool about doing these quick sketches. It's just the opportunity to throw yourself off the deep end and learn something new and proof out a concept. What's difficult for me is I just want to keep working on it because I get really excited exploring all the different possibilities. But there are also more video game concepts I'm looking forward to trying out. However, if people really like this concept and they want to see it explored further and they have fun ideas they want to share, then let me know. I'm happy to continue working on it. I think it was really cute, really fun to do. But yeah, check it out. Let me know what you think and share your screenshots of the clovers you found. Happy hunting.